Now that the eviction ban has actually ended, what's this mean for our real estate? Hey everybody, Scott Walters, welcome back to the channel. If you're new, I want to welcome you. If you're returning, I want to thank you for your continued support. As a California licensed real estate agent in what's been the biggest real estate bubble in the history of the world, I have been living in the twilight zone. It has been absolute insanity working in real estate. I came to YouTube to start warning many people in these times. Please be careful. We are in an artificially stimulated market due to government stimulus and stimulus programs. I don't want to see anybody spend their life savings on a down payment for real estate where one blip in the economy or their income could send them in to a tailspin, and they're now carrying a depreciated asset along for the ride. Having gone through that myself in 2008, I sleep much better at night warning people in these very, very tricky times. So before we get into this red hot topic, I am going to politely ask you to give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below. I would love to hear from you. And please watch to the end for what should be my final thought, and hit the bell icon so you're notified when my future videos are released. It's very important to stay close to the channel in these very, very tricky times. Okay, folks, let's unpackage another hot one. This is insanity, right? These cans, we call them kicking the can down the road, extend and pretend, with this government stimulus and stimulus programs doing their best to keep these markets propped up and the economy from crashing. And I think that's really the elephant in the room, where many of us don't really understand. This is not an organic housing market that we are in. These crazy run-ups on real estate values were completely artificially created through a massive amount of stimulus and stimulus printing, this funny money. The government strategically did this to keep the economy from crashing, because that's what it would have done had they not have done that. Make no mistake about it. So one of the things that we need to do is start slowly ending stimulus. We can't continue to do this forever. And so the government has created a runaway train. They don't know how to pull the brakes on this one, because if they do, the economy crashes. So like I've said in previous videos, I believe what they're doing is they're going to stagger each fiscal cliff out rather than have them all end at once, because it would be catastrophic and it would all be for naught with all the money printing that they just did. The reality, though, is the first one to get rolled out was the landlords being able to evict tenants. And so what that's going to potentially do, I have a hard time reporting this because it's so clear, and it's such a clear and present danger and so obvious to me. What it's going to do to the market, friends, ending the eviction ban and letting landlords get their tenants out, is it's going to produce inventory. Expect inventory to come to the market. A couple of months ago when I came to YouTube and I started sounding the alarm, that was when the buyer euphoria, the herd mentality, the drinking of the real estate Kool-Aid of astronomical levels were occurring, and I saw my buyers having to pay way over market value just to take advantage of what was perceived as cheap money. And the money's not as cheap anymore if you had to pay astronomical levels over asking price to get properties. Well, myself and a lot of my clients and many of you who decided to wait on the sidelines and tap out saved massive amounts of money, because a couple of months ago when I started warning people, you would have been spending 10, 20, 30, up to 40% over market value to get into property. Well, today, just a short few months later, if you were to go buy property right now, you would be at or around market value. You would not have to pay those types of numbers. So congratulations to anybody that waited. You saved tons of money, and I hope I helped you a little bit. I always say, I know for me to increase my wealth, I have to make you wealthy first. And I believe we did that here with this channel. So thank you for that. So what the eviction ban is going to look like is landlords now are going to start filing evictions on tenants at pretty high levels. A lot of tenants have no incentive to work with strained landlord relationships to obtain government rental relief money to give to a landlord who just wants them out anyway. And so no tenant is potentially going to get current if they're getting kicked out. And so the double-edged sword is for landlords. When they go to evict, their main objective is just to get the tenant to actually move out of the property. Yeah, they'll probably get a judgment for back rents, but the chances of a tenant paying that is little to none. But the banks are going to still want their payment. So most of these landlords took mortgage forbearance because they had a non-paying tenant. So the bank doesn't care if your tenant isn't paying you back. They want their money. This is going to force a lot of inventory onto the market. And not that the number of houses that come to market will be enough to landslide the market by just a pure numbers standpoint. What it will do, because of how our digital diet is so heavy now and we're so influenced by herd mentality, is the next hurdle for us to watch is how many headlines it grabs, how much social unrest it creates, and how many others see people come into market and then jump on board because of herd mentality. Now again, folks, you have to understand this is something that realistically could happen, because what we just saw with the buyer herd mentality of people coming to market, or people racing out to buy because everybody else was buying, it was pure herd mentality. And that's why I'm here today, because it drove me to YouTube to report this is not a normal market. This is herd mentality. It's the same thing that happened in 2008 bubble. People, even in the industry, ignored the clear and present warning signs saying real estate can never fail. But it failed in a big way. And in my opinion, even though it was a different crisis that caused that last bubble to pop, my opinion, this crisis is worse because it was a global health pandemic and we're in a global economy and we have so much shakiness, and the amount of stimulus printing that we did this go around was much heavier than what we did the last go around. So I think there's a higher likelihood of a crash now than there was then. Now there's great division on that. We're not going to get too off topic, as hard as it is, because this is so much information to report. But what we're going to see is inventory coming to market. That's the reality of what we're going to see. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. If you're a landlord and you need to start paying mortgage payments again and you can't collect your rents and you can't get a judgment and force those tenants to pay your rents, the best you can do is get them out. You're going to go to market. Because right now, it's a great time to go to market. There's never been a great time to get premium for your property. So why play with that? Now, there might be a few that can weather the storm and decide they're going to keep the asset and collect rents. The rental market's pretty hot, but the reality is that we're going to see inventory. There's no getting around that one, folks. We're going to see inventory come to market. So in final thoughts, what we need to look at next, in my opinion, is when these properties start coming to market, are we going to see herd mentality again, like we saw in the buyer euphoria of a few months ago that's now died off to the point where we're around market value? If you buy today, you're going to be at or around market value, not up to 40% over market value. Will we see the herd mentality occur now with seller euphoria? I've been saying this since the beginning. I started to turn on the mic, and it wasn't because I wanted to. It was because I'm a realist and I understand the psychology of sales and how people think when it comes to real estate. I think there's a real significant chance we could see this. Right now is the most critical time for us, period, in my opinion. Because fiscal cliffs are now here and they're ending. We're rolling out the eviction ban. I was hoping they'd stagger them out a little further apart, but what it looks like to me, folks, eviction ban got ended. Unemployment benefits are being ended next month. Banks are going to be able to start foreclosing on properties here right in around the same time. And mortgage forbearance is ending. You can no longer pull a mortgage forbearance on your property and not make your payment, and you're going to owe back payments. Those are the four big fiscal cliffs, not to mention the amount of funny money, the stimulus. So what we need to watch for now, folks, is as these are finally here It's D-Day. It's time to pay the piper. The dust is now about to settle from the pandemic. Doing my best to just really be calm, cool, and collected in this, but this is like, whew, big times going on right now. Landlords are not going to be able to work with tenants, in my opinion. Tenants are not going to be able to work with landlords if their relationship is strained. There is no way that's going to happen at a big enough scale to not have an effect on the housing market. So, again, if you're on the sidelines, congratulations. I believe we did the right thing. And the next thing is to keep your fingers crossed that we just see a correction and not a recession or a depression be produced out of these coming rollouts of these fiscal cliffs. So stay tuned to the channel. These are very tricky times. It's very important that you stay close and get somebody in the industry willing to bring it to you straight from their perspective. And there's going to be great division. We're on the left side of the aisle, the right side of the aisle on this one too, I'm sure. But most people are starting to become realists. I'm seeing a lot more people start to understand that. But we're very short-sighted. And so please remain level-headed, goal-oriented, earn your wealth mentality. That is ultimately going to make you succeed in any market. So stay with me on this one. I thank you for watching. Go make it count today. We'll see you on the next video.